Hi, today is World Mental Health Awareness Day, and this year's theme is workplace mental health. And there is a wealth of amazing content out there across all of the social media platforms talking about the importance of, well, talking. So I'm going to leave all those amazing experts to what they do best. What I wanted to cover in this tiny little clip is something that isn't as frequently talked about, but from my point of view is just as important. Because if we want to encourage folks, if we ourselves want to feel able to speak, to share our thoughts and feelings, then it's important that we talk about listening. It's important we talk about the quality of listening that is helpful to people when perhaps they are in some of life's more challenging spaces. So this tiny little segment is my thoughts, my experience and my opinions on the importance of really listening. I'm hoping it might just help build your confidence just a little. Well, I want to start with a bit of a reality check. And the reality check is this, that actually, yes, it can be very difficult. It can be really challenging listening to our closest friends, our loved ones and our colleagues talking about not feeling great, talking about some of those aspects of their world that they're struggling with, or maybe just feeling that life has been drained of any joy or excitement and that they're really battling just to get up day to day. This can be a very tough space to stay present, and a lot of us might deploy strategies like avoiding it, perhaps avoiding them, in the hope that we won't get it wrong. Of course, the challenge there is that can leave the folks in our lives who would really like to be able to speak to us feeling that perhaps we're not interested, perhaps we're not available. So from that place that this can be a little bit challenging, I just want to share a few ideas that you can put into practice right now that are just going to enhance your ability to stay present and to listen in a way that's going to feel supportive and helpful to those around you. So first up is actually noticing that someone maybe wants to share something that they're finding a little bit difficult. Just tuning in to the way that the folks around us, particularly our loved ones, our friends, our colleagues, are communicating. Are you getting a sense that maybe there's a conversation they'd like to have, but they're a little bit nervous about it? That's step one, just noticing. Step two is then creating a space. Now you're going to find it a lot easier to create this space if you bear in mind your whole role here isn't to fix it, whatever it is. It's to listen, to understand what this person would like to share with you. So as you begin to think about creating that space, you can let go of needing to have things like answers or something sensible to say. Your primary role here is to listen. And listen really carefully to try and understand their perspective, their point of view. Now, that's much trickier than it sounds because actually, as they are sharing their perspective, their point of view, you might notice that you want to jump in and give advice. You might notice that it's connecting with bits and pieces that are going on for you, so you want to talk about those. That's a perfectly natural space to be. But when we're looking to create space for somebody else to be able to share, we just want to notice the tendency to want to do that and try not to act on it. Go back to listening to the person that we are trying to give this space to. Listening to understand what they are saying, what they are sharing, what they are experiencing. Bearing in mind, it might be quite different from our personal experience. And here also I should mention that we don't need to decide as they're talking whether it sounds right or wrong, good or bad. That's actually not our job right now. We might get to that point. But in the first instance, you're just looking to listen to understand their world, their thoughts and their feelings, maybe their concerns, their questions or anything else that might be going on. The understanding first bit is crucial because that is what allows our loved ones, our friends and our colleagues to feel accepted, to feel safe, to feel like they can continue talking because we're not judging them, We're not deciding whether what they're saying is valid or not. None of the things that they might fear are happening right now in this very special space. Now, of course, we're going to want to let them know that we are with them, we are understanding as best we possibly can. And so here is where paraphrasing, so that's just repeating back what you think you have heard, can be occasionally helpful, especially when maybe there's a moment, a pause, where actually you can almost get the sense when you're really paying attention that the other person is looking to you to say, did you understand that? A really great way of saying, yes, I did, is to repeat back to them using slightly different words what you think you heard them say. Of course, sometimes it can be really powerful just to repeat back exactly what they did say. Now, this is incredibly important. Not only does it allow the other person to know that you got it, you heard it, and actually you heard it correctly, but it also allows them to hear their own thoughts being repeated back to them. So don't be put off or alarmed if they actually tweak what you're understanding. Say, oh, not quite that, more like this. Or no, that's not quite the right flavour, it's more like this. Don't go down the rabbit hole of saying, oh, well, that's what you just said, or internalise it and saying, oh dear, I didn't listen very well. It's quite possible you were spot on. It's just now they are hearing it repeated back, they want to refine it, and that is brilliant. It's supporting them and getting a clearer idea of how do they feel, what do they think, where are the challenges and issues. Once you are getting to a point in your conversation where you're pretty much summarising what you're hearing and they're saying, yes, yeah, that's right, that's it. Now is the moment where you can hold that space and say, okay, well, yeah, that does sound really tough, really concerning. I'm so sad to hear that that is how you feel. Again, you don't need smart words. You don't need the answers. You don't need to tell them what to do. If they're asking for your advice, okay, maybe you might share a few things that they might want to consider that perhaps you have found helpful. But it is just as likely that actually they're not looking for advice. They are simply looking to be heard, understood, and valued. And we can simply do that by acknowledging that, yes, goodness, that does sound hard. That does sound tough. And if you're not quite sure what to say, then a brilliant thing to say sometimes is, I have no words. I'm stumped. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say. What that does is acknowledge that the issue, if you like, the challenge with not quite knowing what to say is sitting with you and not with them. They are okay. You are just responding in a very human way to what you've just heard. Of course, now is the moment where you can perhaps begin to say, okay, so if things are as you are reporting they are, if this is how you are feeling, how might I help? What would you like? What might you do? Where might you look to find support or resources? And again, depending on the nature of this relationship, will make the flavour of the question that you're going to ask, if you like, feel more readily available to you in the moment. But I always like to remind people, ask, don't tell, and tread lightly. This might be the very first time that someone has let anyone into this space. It is indeed a privilege and an honour to be there, simply holding that space with care, with compassion and respect can make such an enormous difference, especially to someone who is experiencing struggle. Asking them what they would now like to happen next ensures that they stay in control. They are the person making the decision about what is best for them. If they are asking for advice or support, offer it lightly. It may or may not be what they need. And so I'd like to leave things there. A few ideas that I hope will support and help you build your confidence in the listening space so that you can be there for the important people in your world in the way that you would like. But above all else, I would like to close with this. Just remember that every time you offer someone your attention, your focus, and the intent to try to listen to understand them and their world, you are making a powerful statement to them that they matter, that you care, and that you want to try to understand. So rather than focusing on getting it absolutely right and being perfect in this space, which is really very hard to achieve, focus instead on the power of being there, the power of trying to understand, the power of supporting them in a moment of struggle, because ultimately that is the thing that they are going to take away from the conversation. That is the thing they will treasure the most. Thanks. Bye-bye now.